Good morning, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Out and About. I'm Barry Fair. Thanks for joining Mark and I for this Friday morning, and welcome along to you and to all the viewers. This is episode 52 now, and just before I do go on, I must apologize. I said it was episode 41 on Tuesday, not episode 51. So sorry about that. Well, today we are off to Strat Point again, and it's a good shopping centre. So if you're in the Strat Point area, guys, pop on in and have a look around. And joining me now in the studio for our Friday Follies is Mark Gordon last week. Here he is. Good morning. Welcome to episode 52. And what a week of celebrations, Mark.
Yes, Barry, thank you for your welcome. Welcome, viewers. And a fantastic week for you. Nothing but good news. It's the kind of week you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for a while.
And my generally speaking, of it pretty much since I got here because I knew that I'd left my brothers and all my friends behind, and that sort of started the homesickness and all the frustration. Now, on the 20th of May, I got some really bad news about not being approved. Well, we've already covered that and how upset I was. But just to give you some indication on how important it is to be patient when you are dealing with anybody, such as the NDIS. Here's Mark now to open episode 52 with this.
Thanks, Barry. Yes, I didn't realise until you told me that you'd had a little meltdown, and it explained a lot of your self-reflection about how to have a meeting and how to get the best out of the interaction so that you can keep moving forward, because I'm assuming that your meltdown did not serve you well.
It did not, and people were telling me to go and have a nice day, and I just didn't want to have a nice day on that day. So, a pretty a pretty bad day that day. So not good. So also today, okay, we'd like to go over some of the shows we've covered. Now, episode 1 was on the Story Bridge, but the original episode was episode 17 on the Story Bridge. Now, we had a few challenges there, getting the wheelchair on to the bridge and on the park, because as many of you may well know, okay, Brisbane is pretty old. Some of it's new, and some of it is still pretty old. Here's Mark now.
Yes, it was that old part of the valley that seemed to create most of our issues, just trying to get from road to footpath because of the steepness of those ramps. So it did make our life extremely difficult. And you're right, it was all old part of the valley that created those issues.
So guys, a lot has changed from me being a frustrated person, okay, to a happy person. Look at me now, a happy, bright, cheerful person. Here's Mark.
Yes, well, you've been so keen to get back to Sydney, and it was really your one piece of uh, or one request that was going to maintain your happiness was moving back. So I'm not surprised that you've been frustrated for a while until it was finally approved. And now that it has been, as you say, you're extremely happy and bright and very keen to get on with life.
And we were going to officially end out and about today, but I thought, why not? Whilst I'm here in Brisbane still, why don't we make the most of it? And yeah, with the weeks are counting down. Here's Mark.
Yes, well, I'm not sure with your new news whether that came with a date. Have you got as far as having a set date for getting back to Sydney?
Not yet, but but the time will come,
Yes,
and it was in late May, early June that the 31st of May was when I met with Derek,
yep,
and we discussed the options, and you know, there wasn't a vacancy back then. So let's go back now to where Out and About, when Out and About began, and how it began. Well, we'll just cut to another shot and tell you about it. So just a moment. Stay right there. Well, how Out and About originated, well, Out and About, the Out and About title wasn't thought of until later on in the game when I thought, well, why don't I call it Out and About? So that Mark and I can show you viewers out there what we're talking about and what would be interesting. Here's Mark now to open this segment of our show with that and how far we've come with it. Here he is.
thanks, Barry. Yes, it was a concept and you've turned it into a reality. It's been a fantastic experience from my point of view. I hope that the viewers have gotten something out of it as well. And obviously, it highlights your life and challenges just getting around, as well as your joys and the things that you enjoy doing.
And 52 episodes, guys. Wow, what an achievement. Here's Mark.
Yes, I imagine that when you started, you didn't think you were going to get to 52. It is a substantial number, and I imagine that at the start you didn't think you would be here long enough to get to 50.
And I was, because I told a bit of a porcupine back in June, thinking that I was going to be gone in August. Well, it went flat, and that was on episode 21. Now, just going back to that particular episode, well, what a disaster that was. And I can tell you I was not very well on that day. Here's Mark to take you back to that episode.
Yes, episode 21. That was Scarborough. And beginning of the day, Barry had a couple of sniffles, but certainly by lunchtime had cough, sniffles, and then was going downhill as well, so that you could see that he was flagging and getting tired and not coping with the day. And then it was a long day of waiting because there was a lack of taxis. And by the time we got you home, you were already quite unwell. And of course, you tested positive as soon as they did the COVID test on you. And that unfortunately led to isolation, which in this context is just your room. So very isolated. So it wasn't a good time for you at all.
And it was very frustrating, as Mark said, because being cooped up in here for 12 whole days, away from everybody, not being able to go anywhere, well, that said it all.
Yeah, it's a terrible way to have to live, and that minimisation of contact with the outside world certainly had a negative impact on your enjoyment of life at the time.
My isolation didn't finish until Sunday, the 26th of June. And then on Monday, the 27th of June, I thought I was going to go into another meltdown like I did in May. Okay. But the manager came in and told me that I hadn't been improved. Okay. And I was so upset about that. So May and June were not a good 2 months for me on that front. Here's Mark.
You controlled yourself very well. As I said, I didn't realise that you'd had a meltdown. And when we got together to go out, you did seem fine. You were still very keen to move, but I didn't realise that you'd been handed a no. So I wasn't even aware that you were harbouring that pain internally.
And I can tell you it was not a very good outcome for me on those 2 occasions. Very unfortunate indeed. And then July came along. Okay. 1st of July. I had a movie in Pizza Day. And a movie in Burger Day. Sorry about that. Okay, so and then tragedy struck on the 8th of July, but I will not go into that because it will be very upsetting. I actually was upset on one of the shows I brought, and that was episode 27. 27, I should say. Here's Mark.
Yes, it did affect you quite significantly. You were very upset, and along with the tragedy, it left you essentially alone in the house as well. So you were hit with both bad news and then more isolation. So it wasn't a great time for you at all.
But then August came along and things started to pan out better in September, and we were on our way out on the road again, doing Out and About. And what a day, what adventures we had there. We went to Morgan's Seafood again, and that was good. And then we went to a short clip to Doug's Seafood. Here's Mark to tell you about it.
That was a very nice day, wasn't it?
It was.
We went down to the pier at Scarborough. At Sandgate, wasn't it?
No, Shorncliffe.
Shorncliffe. There we go. I get my coastal regions mixed up. So we went to Shorncliffe Pier and then did the trip around the foreshore, round to Doug's Seafood Cafe. Had a beautiful lunch.
And it was barramundi and a half a ton of chips, as Martin called it.
It was half a ton of chips.
And
But I have learnt that you are a chip fiend. You're a bit of a seagull, actually.
we are, so
I like the way you say we.
we are actually, and we've been to Winterpilly a couple of times on at Time Zone as well, and I've won a couple of tickets there. Thousands of them, so you know, it's out and about, guys. It's just been absolutely wonderful. Here's Mark.
Yes, you've really enjoyed going to Indooroopilly. I have to admit, I didn't realise until we were going to Indooroopilly how much you enjoyed travelling in the taxi. You know, because when we get in, it doesn't seem all that steady, and it does bounce you around a fair bit. So I wasn't sure that you liked it. And subsequently, you've said, "Yep, I like the taxi trip." So I'm not surprised that the long trip to Indooroopilly you enjoy, and then you absolutely love Time Zone. So it's a great way to entertain yourself for a few hours, and it's been, you know, a great trip for me as well.
So we've been to I've been to North Lakes a few times and all of that as well. So yeah, and Chermside. So a lot of out and about there. So out and about, guys. It's been going since May. Here's Mark.
Yep. So as you said, started in May with our trip to the bridge, and then, you know, apart from when we've had COVID separation and my couple of weeks up in Darwin, we've been doing every Monday since, and then more recently Monday and Tuesday, and then even more recently Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
and that's why we called it the Friday Follies. So, guys, my time here at Bray Park will soon be coming to an end, and I will pause that. So, like we were saying, guys, okay, out and about, it's been an absolute privilege to sit here and to really, bring the show to you because Mark and I, we brought you some exciting adventures. Here he is to tell you about them.
Well, we've had numerous adventures. So we have spent a fair bit of time around the bay foreshores, and it does kind of make me think that apart from shopping centres, you're quite keen on the coast. So it's been a lovely time for me as well because we've gone to a lot of places that I haven't been, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
So as my time at Bray Park slowly comes to an end, which will do. Sorry that I have to tell you viewers out there. And I'm sure Mark will be sad to see me go because he and I, as we've just said, have brought to you many exciting adventures. Now, going back to episode 21 again, I couldn't even finish that. And here's Mark to tell you about it.
Well, it's not surprising you couldn't finish it on the day. You were far too ill by the time we got you home to sitting up in front of the computer and generating another show. So I imagine that you had to finish that later on in your isolation after you felt better.
I couldn't, it was too late.
Mm.
But then in July, going back to that, we did a lovely episode of Out and About at Scarborough, and it was a better Barry Fear there. Here's Mark.
Yes, the Barry Fear that turned up that time was absolutely engaged with what was going on, and we had a lovely trip around that day. We did eat at Morgan's again and went back to the park. And after the park, while we were waiting for the taxi to turn up, you had a little meeting with the boys in blue and had a catch up with them. So it was a very interesting day all round.
So that just about brings to an end the first part of the show. But before Mark and I head off, we'd like to say a huge thanks for tuning in. Here's Mark.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone that tunes in and views Barry's videos. It's an important pastime for you, isn't it, Barry?
Yes, it is.
And you love doing the work and you love posting your videos. So for everyone that tunes in, and hopefully you tell other people about it and get them to try out the channel. And it'd be great if we got some feedback as well. But other than that, it's been a fantastic experience.
So, like we've said, if you feel like dropping us a line, please feel free. I've already given you the address, but for some of you that have missed the show or haven't tuned in, Our address is Barry Fair Productions out and about. Okay, 23 Mundy Place, Bray Park, and the state is Queensland, and the postcode is 44500. Here's Mark.
Yes, a few more bits of contact, as I said, would be lovely. So take down the address, send Barry a letter, and either just comment or give us a suggestion or suggest a place for us to visit, because we have got some time until Barry formally leaves. So I'm sure we'll still be able to do a few things before he heads off.
I might be heading off earlier because I spoke on the port that. Well, now it is time to draw the first part of episode 52 to a close with that. And don't forget, it is Remembrance Day today. So pause for a minute's silence at 11 o'clock. So that is in 4 minutes from now. Okay, so please pay your respects. Here's Mark.
Thanks, Barry. Yes, it's a very significant historical date, and a lot of people dramatically went to war to end what was a terrible war in Europe, and it finally came to an end on this date in 1918. So it's absolutely a date worth pondering and remembering other people's sacrifice.
So we will continue our out and about events of the day at Strathpine, and we look forward to your company there. So it's time for us to draw the first part of our show to a close for this Friday. And the number that we rely on 24 hours a day, you know what it is. We don't need to bang on about it, but
Please don't misuse 000.
because the wrong call that you make could cost somebody their life. Here's Mark to conclude our two parts of our Friday show with that.
Thanks, Barry. And as you said, it's a service announcement that you do absolutely every time. And it's important for people to understand that 000 is for emergencies only, and anything that distracts people that work on the 000 call centre from doing their job is potentially dangerous for somebody that needs them. So please don't abuse 000, and only use it if you have an emergency.
So we must conclude now and say see you at Strathpine, and thanks for joining us today. Here's Mark.
Yep, looking forward to Strathpine today. I might talk you into having a bowl. Anyway, we shall see you at Strathpine, and stay tuned.
Stay tuned, everyone. This is episode 52, and my apologies for saying episode 41 the other day when it was 51, and thank you, Mark, for correcting me on that. Thank you. and here we go now. Strapline is about to commence the continuation of episode 52 is coming up shortly.
See you soon.
See you soon. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the continuation of episode 52, and here we are at the Strapline Centre. Well, we had a very productive meeting today, and before I tell you about it, the rules of being polite when meeting someone: never ever raise your voice. Never say, I don't want to know about it or I don't care, because that is very rude. And like Mark said before, the meeting will be brought to a halt. And you will have to wait another day until you are calm and ready to be respectful. Here's Mark now to open the continuation of episode 52 with that.
Thanks, Barry. And you're dead right. There's no place for being aggressive or abusive when you're having a meeting. And your meeting today went exceptionally well, even though there were clearly things that needed to be explained through the conversation by both sides to each other, because there were some misunderstandings. But now that you've got it all sorted, you've got the result that you wanted, and even though there was some confusion, just by staying calm and asking a few more questions and then being asked a couple more questions, everything got sorted in the one phone call very simply. So it was a great result.
And I have been approved for that house. Here's Mark.
Yes, your funding for the Cromer House has been absolutely guaranteed, confirmed by Derek. So it is now just a matter of the logistics of the move itself, because everything else appears to be already sorted.
So like we said the other day, if you are rude, uncivil, the meeting will be brought to a halt, and there is absolutely no need to argue your point in an aggressive way. Here's Mark now for this.
Yes, make your point, say what you need to say, and if there's still misunderstanding, then find a different way to say what you think is the same thing. Sometimes it's just the language that we use that people don't gel with, and so they take a different meaning to what your intention is. So if you do think that there's confusion, just simply ask for more explanation or different language, and hopefully you'll get the understanding that you need, or you both get the understanding that you need.
But don't be absolutely rude about it and say, I want to get the here or there now, because it might not be possible. Here's Mark.
Yes, well, your experience today demonstrates that. There are rules in place that we didn't know about, and because we didn't realise those rules are in place, it changed the prospect of when you move. So, but once explained, it was very clear, and it meant that an alternative could be looked at, because we weren't misunderstanding what the process is. And once that was explained to us, then it led you to have options that you could provide to Derek, and so now Derek has 2 missions, and if one comes off you get everything that you want, but if it doesn't, we have an alternative to help you get down to Sydney before Christmas so you can catch up with family.
But like we say, if you are rude and abrupt on the phone, again, the conversation will be terminated and not get supported the next time. Here's Mark.
Yes, I have to admit that at a personal level, I would not respond well to an abusive or an aggressive encounter, and even though I would expect it to be cut short, I think the next time you try and have that meeting, it also starts badly because, you know, both parties feel aggrieved about the last meeting. So there are absolute benefits to keeping it civil and working through issues in a calm, informative way.
But arguing at the meeting, no, it does not work. Here's Mark.
Yes, you're dead right, Barry. If you argue against particularly rules that have just been sort of explained to you because you don't like them, then it does tend to be on the very unreasonable side because everybody else's hands are tied by process. And in this case, it's about how much notice needs to be given to one party before you can move on. And whilst the house that you want to move to is ready, we don't know what sort of expectation your current hosts have. So we'll have to wait and see now what happens when they're asked about waiving the notice period.
Just for that while start going with this into the bid, so we'll just pause that. It is not very nice to raise your voice at a meeting. It must be continued.
Any form of abusive or aggressive behaviour is never going to be accepted well in a meeting, and regardless of what you think your rights are, just treating someone else like that isn't appropriate. So there's no place for aggressive or abusive behaviour.
And like we said before, any abuse will lead to the immediate termination of what was to be on, because you may have to organise it yourself. Here's Mark.
Well, it might end up that you left to organise it yourself if people walk away, but hopefully it doesn't ever reach that stage. If you do become unruly or aggressive, it might be, and the meeting gets terminated, then you might have to send an apology with a "can we please try again," and hopefully the people that you're dealing with will say yes, and rather than just blanket say whatever it was that you thought you wanted, our answer's no. Find that a lot of times you have to deal with the people again regardless, and you just need to be able to control yourself and make it work for you.
And don't say sorry multiple times, because you won't get forgiven for it. You're not.
Yes, I think what you refer to is you can't keep repeating behaviour and expect that sorry is going to be an acceptable response if it's happened 10 times in a row. Eventually, people just see a pattern and throw their hands up and no, I will have nothing to do with you anymore. So if you can't change your ways, change the way that you have the meetings. Either do them in writing or but you'll need to find another way to achieve your outcome.
Like today, I asked some very civil questions, guys. Here's Mark.
Yes, well, all the questions were civil. In fact, the whole conversation was civil, and you had no reason to be aggressive. As it panned out, some points that were made needed to be explained further, and with that understanding, once it was explained further, you were actually able to ask more questions and then provide Derek with another task, which you probably would not have done if we just left the conversation as it was standing initially.
But it is very important to have backup planning, because if Christmas is coming like it is, okay, please be aware, guys, that, you've got to say, all right, do I be civil about this, or bring an absolute nincompoop? Here's Mark.
Yes, well, we've discussed the fact that it's always a choice how you respond. So it will be your choice how you act and behave. If you decide to be a nincompoop, then don't expect to get a good response. Don't expect to get an outcome.
Because at the end of the day, the NDIS are not going to fund you with good things. It's as simple as that. Here's Mark.
Well, the NDIA is a bureaucracy and it's utterly governed by rules. So whatever they tell you is essentially how their hands are tied. If you're telling them the same story, this is where asking questions and listening to the answers, then asking more questions, can lead to an understanding that lets you decide that you need to have a backup plan and that you might be left funding it yourself. But it's entirely up to you to find that out, and then having a civil conversation will get you the breadth of information that you need, instead of people desperately trying to get away from you because you're abusive.
And today I got the responses that I needed. Here's Mark.
Yes, you did. You got the yes, yes, no, maybe, yes, yes. So, yes, absolutely. Guaranteed funding for the house in Cromer. Yes, the move is in the planning phase. It needs a date, and that there are other constraints that we didn't know about when it comes to the timing of the move, and you were hoping to move well before the allowed time, and regardless of what is said, you can still go to Sydney, which was what you wanted to find out, It's just a matter of who may or may not fund it, and whether you have to come back to Queensland to go back to Sydney, or whether you just stay in Sydney. So all of this is up for an outcome. Nothing's off the table, but we need to wait to get responses from other parties to make sure that Barry can do what he wants to do. Once you get those responses, you'll know whether you're going to have a holiday in Sydney for Christmas or whether you're going to move to Sydney.
So this is just this program. The rest of the program today is about being absolutely polite to people, guys, because we brought this up on episodes 41 and 2, but if you want to be idiots and behave like 5-year-old boy, then that's it. Here's Mark.
We've well and truly covered bad behaviour leading to poor outcomes in meetings. You are really just showing the opposite side today, which is good behaviour gets good outcomes. You got exactly what you wanted, and it was because you were polite, asked more questions politely, listened to the answers, asked for more explanations politely, and you got all of that. So you now understand what the position is, and you also understand that you need to have more information back from the other parties before you can go ahead and organise how you're going to spend your Christmas in Sydney.
Please do take away some of the information that we brought to you, because it may be useful for some people who don't know how to behave appropriately. And this is a serious subject, because what's the point of getting cranky about something if you can't fix the damage? Because when someone says no to something, do you think, okay, do I sit around and sulk, or do I just say, okay, it is what it is? I don't need to get Mark to explain this, because we've already covered it. And now, here is the closing sequence of our point of answer. Thank you for joining us today on our Strathpine adventure. We hope that you've enjoyed the program today and learned something from this. And hopefully you will learn something from this. And here's Mark with his closing message on this.
Thanks, Barry. We always hope that you get something from the videos, and this is a subject very close to your heart, Barry. You do have the unfortunate life of being constantly in meetings with people to organise things. So you're very familiar with this particular aspect of maintaining your decorum and being civil to people, and you know firsthand that if things don't go well and you get angry, it takes so much longer to get it sorted out.
So, please don't be rude, guys, because it is not the way to go. So, please be mindful and thoughtful when people are talking to you, because like I said when we opened this show, being rude, guys. You're just not only letting yourself down, but the people on the phone. And if your community support worker person is hearing this, they may terminate you. The rest is report through. And write in an email, guys, an apology and ask, can we try again? Can we work out some strategies? But if they decide no, you charge yourself for the rest of your life. You've got no one to blame. So here's Mark to close the show with that.
Yes, as we've mentioned in the past, it is a personal choice how you respond, and there's no excuse for being aggressive and abusive. Just because someone happened to say no, that can't be done. As we've said, if it can't be done, then it can't be done, and being abusive about it won't change that. However, if you do try and sort it out civilly, you often find that there are alternatives that can be explored, but usually they're only explored with people that are civil.
And like with me today, I was very civil and honest. Here's Mark.
Well, we've pointed out that you've always been civil, and when you are, you get what you want. It's as simple as that.
So we'd like you to take away some of this information and write it down, guys. Here's my offside.
Yes, we hope that you take some advice. Get used to practicing the fact that your reaction was your choice, and if people don't like it or you don't like it, you can choose to react differently.
But remember, like we said on episodes 41 and 42, don't threaten people and think I'm going to wring your necks or pay you out for this or go around and sort you out, because it is not the way to go, guys. So please don't act in this way. That's where I'd like to bring, that's where we'd like to bring this episode to a close, and we will wrap the rest of it up back at the studio. And the number that we rely on 24 hours a day, 000. Please do not, and we repeat, do not call 000 unless you really have to. 000 is a service only for emergencies, so here's Mark to take us out with that message.
Yes, thanks, Barry. It is an emergency only number. It's for people having an emergency, and anything that interferes with that interferes with the process of providing an emergency service. So it can be highly detrimental to someone that needs it if the service is being distracted by people that don't need it.
So we will see you back at the studio to wrap today's episode up, and a week of celebrations. And here's Mark to recap my here's Mark to recap my good news from 2 weeks ago. Here he is.
Thanks, Barry. The news that Barry is referring to is that his move to Sydney has been approved by the NDIA, and his funding has been approved for the house in Cromer, and his move back to Sydney is absolutely guaranteed, and hopefully he'll also make it down to Sydney for a holiday or move early to Sydney so that he can have Christmas with his family.
So we hope that you've enjoyed our strap point invented today, and we certainly hope that you've enjoyed the show. And if there's anything you'd like to know about, just drop us a line. And from us at Strap Point now, see you back at the studio to wrap it all up and to wrap the show up for another week. And
See you back there.
see you back there, guys. Bye-bye. And we'll see you back there to wrap it all up. Okay, so just remember to be polite and civil, and here's Mark to take us out.
Right, well, we're going to head back to the studio to finish off the rest of the show, and we'll see you soon.
And this program today, proudly presented by Strap Point, the Strap Point Centre. So we will see you back at the studio to wrap this all up, and I'm going to be happy now until basically whatever happens. So see you back there, guys. Bye. So we hope that you've enjoyed our Strap Point visit. Do join us again on Monday for another episode. Here's Mark Show with Frank.
Thanks, Barry, and thanks for checking in, everyone, and making this an excellent day. Barry's had awesome news. It makes him guaranteed moving time to Sydney, which is exactly what you've been waiting on now for probably 6 months. So still a few more things to sort out, but at least it has been guaranteed, and Barry's got a time frame to work within now, so it'll be far less stressful, and your excitement is high, you have to admit.
And we sure hope that you enjoyed episode 52 today. Thanks for your company, and we will see you on Monday for another jam-packed episode. We don't know what we'll be up to next Monday, but until we see you again on Monday, have a great weekend. And the number that we rely on, 888, please do not ring that number unless you've got an emergency. Here's Mark to close the show once more with that.
Yes, please don't abuse that emergency services number. It's of vital importance, and any distraction from doing their job is potentially life-threatening for those people that need the service.
So please be careful with the 000 number. So from us now, Strap Point, it's goodbye.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.